I was a daughter of the prominent Jiang family, and Robert believed I was his future wife, spending 10 years meticulously pursuing me. But on our wedding day, his secret girlfriend crashed the ceremony. When she shoved me hard off the stage, Robert rushed over to shield her without hesitation. Just because she held a piece of broken glass to her neck and threatened hysterically, "Will you choose me or Sarah?" Robert was frantic, shoving me, injured and with a broken bone, aside, and yelled, "Get lost. I need to take her to the hospital. If anything happens to her, I'll make you pay." "Sarah, can't you sign the surgical consent form yourself? Did you really call me multiple times just for this?" Robert's voice, tinged with faint anger and impatience, came through the phone. Since Olivia had crashed the wedding, he had disappeared with her for half a day. This was the 20th time I had called him. The previous 19 calls had been hung up without exception. I paused, taken aback by his cold tone, then pleaded. "Olivia pushed me. The doctor said a family member has to sign. Since you're already at the hospital, can't you come over for a few minutes to sign?" Robert's reply was to abruptly hang up. Facing the outcome I had already anticipated, I sighed. "Just bring me the surgical consent form. I'll sign it myself." The doctor seemed hesitant. "Maybe you should try contacting Mr. Miller again? Perhaps he didn't hear clearly?" Yesterday, he had all the doctors in the hospital on standby, saying if Olivia wasn't reconciled and caused trouble at the wedding, injuring you, we should provide immediate treatment. In the past, for just a common cold, Mr. Miller would call all the doctors for a consultation and personally stayed constantly by her side. If he knew you had a broken bone, and that Olivia did it, he would be furious. After all, in his heart, you are the most important. I gave a bitter laugh. I used to think I was the one he loved most. But now, it didn't seem that way at all. At my insistence, the doctor finally gave me the consent form, and I signed it myself. Up until the last moment before surgery, I still held out hope for Robert, waiting for him to come see me. But all I received was a social media post from Olivia. The photo or video clip showed Robert holding a bowl of hot soup, carefully blowing on it to cool it before feeding it to Olivia, and tucking in the blanket around her. The caption read, "You said 3 years of companionship was the greatest blessing. I'll use the rest of my life to reciprocate your feelings." Olivia was smiling radiantly. It was hard to imagine that just a few days prior, she had been drowning her sorrows after Robert's abrupt breakup. And after getting drunk, she had come to my place, crying and pointing at me, cursing. I was Robert's secret girlfriend for 3 years, giving him everything. But he never touched me, saying you, Sarah, were his only future wife. What right do you have to his favoritism? I tried to make soup for him like you do, but Robert slapped me, saying I couldn't compare to you in any way, not as pretty, not as gentle, telling me to stop trying to imitate you. Her emotions were highly agitated. He also said I was just a substitute he found when he was bored, and I should get lost when you returned from abroad. Sarah, why did you come back? Couldn't you have just died overseas? At the time, Robert was furious that she had offended me, slapped her directly across the face, and didn't hesitate to kick her out. His eyes fixed on Olivia coldly, filled with disgust, as he said, "We're already broken up. Stop bothering me. How dare you curse Sarah? Are you insane? If you want to die so badly, go do it yourself. Sarah is the one I've always loved. I won't see anyone else but her." Yet today at the wedding, he had rushed to Olivia without hesitation. As if fearing the loss of a precious treasure, he had frantically taken her to the hospital for NCY treatment. My bone surgery was completed quickly, and I woke up as the anesthesia wore off. Suddenly, Robert threw open my hospital room door and strode in quickly. I thought he had come to see me out of guilt, but to my surprise, the first thing he did was yank my hand with the 4-line out from under the blanket and roughly examine it. Not finding what he was looking for, he demanded angrily, "Sarah, where's your wedding ring? Give it to me now." My hand was violently tugged, the 4-line stinging painfully where it was inserted. But I didn't answer him immediately. Instead, I asked, "What do you want my ring for?" That ring was one I had put a lot of effort into designing myself and spent months crafting by hand. It was the symbol of our lifelong commitment. Olivia likes it. She said she wants to wear matching rings with me. Just give it to her to play with. It's just a cheap ring anyway, doesn't have many diamonds, not worth much. As he spoke, he saw the ring placed in the corner of the table, picked it up without hesitation, and turned to leave. I tried to stand up to snatch it back, almost forgetting my leg was immobile. But my hands still clutched the ring tightly, refusing to let go. Give it back! Robert looked at me, his eyes full of disappointment. Sarah, I remember you used to be so generous. How did you become like this? You're arguing over something so small. I said, if you insist on taking it, then we're breaking up. Robert froze. He dropped to his knees, asking in disbelief, what did you say? His voice was shaky. 10 years of our relationship, you're just going to throw it away? Don't you know I can't live without you? I won't allow you to break up with me. I looked at him coldly, my heart chilling slightly. But Robert, you were the one who abandoned me for Olivia first. Robert buried his face in my arms, hugging me tightly. That's not it. I just pitied Olivia. She was so agitated she was going to commit suicide. I had no OT. Her choice but to calm her down first. Once she recovers, I'll come back and we'll have our wedding again. Believe me. Looking at Robert's somewhat agitated face, I nodded and said, okay. He finally let out a long sigh of relief and left reassured. But he took the ring with him and didn't give it back. I touched my empty ring finger and picked up my phone to call my former colleague who was abroad. Can you ask the professor if there are any spots left in the lab? I want to go back and continue my research. The voice on the other end sounded delighted. Really? The professor was so sad when you left. He'll be thrilled to know you're coming back. I'll go ask him right away. But weren't you going to get married? Won't it be inconvenient living in separate places from your husband? I instinctively tried to make an excuse for Robert, but then found it laughable. So I said, he died. He won't affect my work anymore. After hanging up, I booked my flight back overseas in advance. Then I checked myself out of the hospital and went home to recover. Every day, Olivia showed off their relationship on social media. I saw her post about Robert buying her designer clothes and expensive jewelry. I saw her and Robert holding hands, the diamond ring he'd taken from me on her finger. I saw they took several sets of wedding photos. Olivia even captioned one, 3 years of a secret relationship, finally able to be openly in love. Robert also reposted it, but deleted it seconds later, perhaps afraid I would see it. As if to cover it up, he reposted the invitation to his mother's 60th birthday party. Before the wedding, Robert had specifically mentioned his mother's birthday to me, reminding me to be sure to attend and celebrate with her as his wife. Mrs. Miller had also held my hand and warmly invited me to her home. Although the wedding hadn't happened, I still brought a gift and went to Robert's mother's house. But as soon as I opened the door, I saw an unexpected scene. The dinner party had already begun, with all the relatives present. Robert and his mother were sitting a seat apart, and the person seated between them, surrounded by others, was Olivia. Mrs. Miller put a shrimp on Olivia's plate, instructing, Olivia, you've lost weight recently. Eat more to nourish yourself. Robert glanced at his mother lightly. Mom, she's high maintenance. She won't peel her own shrimp. She insists I do it for her. Despite this, Robert still picked out a shrimp, peeled it for her, and personally fed it into her mouth. Only I stood there, feeling particularly lonely and awkward. Suddenly, someone noticed me and called out in surprise, Sarah? Robert's face changed drastically as he looked at me. What are you doing here? I don't think my mom invited you today. Without waiting for my answer, he came over and started pulling me out. I had a broken bone and was walking with crutches, and he yanked me so hard I nearly fell. I immediately struggled to pull my hand away. Don't pull me. I can walk by myself. Robert's tone was cold. Sarah, I don't know what your purpose is today, but no one informed you about my mother's birthday party. If you're trying to use this opportunity to assert your claim or steal Olivia's spotlight, you're not welcome here. I was quite surprised and shocked. What are you talking about? You specifically told me to come. Robert's mouth opened, and a hint of guilt flashed in his eyes. I don't remember. Who knows if you're lying? Mrs. Miller also came out and said to me, Sarah, Olivia hasn't been in a good mood recently, so I asked Robert to bring her over for dinner. Can you please leave for now? So she doesn't get upset seeing you. One after another, they seemed to have completely forgotten everything they had said to me before. But that was fine. Since I wasn't welcome, there was no need for me to stay. I nodded, just about to leave, when Olivia came out. She actually took the initiative to stop me. Mom. Robert, you're thinking too much. I'm not that petty. Sister Sarah is injured. It wasn't easy for her to come all this way with a limp. Please don't leave. Let's have dinner together. I pretended not to notice the triumph in her eyes and said faintly, No, I won't. Thank you for your kindness. But Robert stepped sideways to block me, displeased. You're staying. Olivia isn't even bothered by you showing up uninvited and is giving you a way out. Are you going to be so inconsiderate as to refuse her? If you dare leave today, our wedding is cancelled immediately. Don't forget you resigned and came back for me. If you leave me again, you'll have nothing. I froze. Robert had pursued me relentlessly for 10 years. I hadn't originally intended to be with him. It wasn't until a truck rushed towards me on the road that he pushed me aside without hesitation, shielding me with his body. Before being taken away by the ambulance, he still held my hand tightly. As long as I can save you, I'm willing to give my life. I just hope you can give me a chance in the next life. I was finally deeply moved by him. I quit my research job overseas and came back without hesitation to marry him. But to think that my act of loving him had now become a handle he could use against me. I took a deep breath. Suit yourself. Cancel it. Then I walked out without looking back. I didn't notice the fleeting bewilderment in Robert's eyes. That night, I went home and packed all my luggage, preparing to go to the airport the next morning. But I didn't expect Robert to come back in the middle of the night. He froze when he saw the somewhat empty house. Where's our photo wall? Where did all the pictures I took of you on trips go? I replied casually, they fell and broke. I threw them away. Robert hugged me from behind. Why aren't you looking at me? Are you angry? He sighed. You really are something. Why can't you just give in a little? So many relatives were there today, and I had brought Olivia to meet them, and then you suddenly showed up. It was so awkward. If you had just dropped off the gift and left, none of this would have happened. I suddenly felt him grab my hand and slip something onto my ring finger. It was a woman's ring, but not my original one. Stop being childish. I'll fulfill my promise to you. We'll have our wedding tomorrow. Olivia won't show up and bother us again. Promise me you'll be on time tomorrow, okay? He leaned in to kiss me, but I dodged him. Robert's expression changed slightly. Just as he was about to say something, Olivia's specific ringtone sounded. He immediately got up in a hurry and rushed out of the room to answer the phone. A moment later, he instructed me, I have to go out. Remember to be at the wedding venue on time tomorrow. The door slammed shut, another sleepless night. I had no intention of going to the wedding, but I thought about it and decided to go anyway, just to return the ring to Robert. But when I got to the venue, I froze. The bride wasn't me, it was Olivia. A giant poster displayed Olivia's name. She herself, wearing a white wedding dress and holding flowers, was smiling as she greeted guests. Seeing me, she immediately laughed. Sarah, you didn't actually think today's wedding was for you, did you? Robert promised me ages ago that he'd have the wedding with me today. But I said I wanted you to witness us getting married firsthand, so he called you here. You should thank me. Otherwise, you wouldn't even have been allowed in. Saying this, she suddenly gave a meaningful smile. A warning bell went off in my mind, but it was too late. She violently threw the bouquet of roses with thorns at my face. Long cuts instantly appeared on my face. Blood dripped down, and my vision turned crimson. When Robert saw this, he quickly ran over and pushed me aside forcefully. He looked at me with utter disappointment, furious. Sarah, I kindly invited you to our wedding. Why would you attack Olivia? Didn't I already give you a ring? What more do you want? I was originally going to get our marriage license, but now you've ruined that too. He left with a stern face, pulling Olivia along, and through my crimson vision, I saw Olivia's triumphant smile. I covered my face and struggled for a long time before managing to stand up. With trembling hands, I placed a letter and the ring by the door. Then I turned and left for the airport without looking back. Robert and Olivia were already on the stage at the wedding venue. Robert slowly slipped the ring onto Olivia's finger and asked her, "Will you marry me?" Olivia was about to answer with a radiant smile when someone suddenly rushed into the wedding venue. A bodyguard hurriedly held up a letter and a ring. "Mr. Miller, bad news. Miss Jiang has left. She bought a flight overseas, and the plane is about to take off. Forget the wedding, hurry and go get her back." After getting out of the taxi, I walked into the airport. I opened my phone and saw a text message from my former colleague saying the professor was willing to keep my original position for me. I breathed a sigh of relief and immediately replied that I would report tomorrow. Everything had come full circle, back to the beginning, as if it had all been in vain. No one had expected us to reach this point. After all, since Robert had fallen for me at 15, he had never hidden his affection. Everyone around us could see how crazy he was about me, even joking, "Robert is rich, good-looking, and devoted. You should just go for it." But at that time, I was completely oblivious, just a bookworm who only knew how to study. I was entirely focused on my studies, setting ambitious goals for myself. No one could stop my progress, and no one could make me give up my future. Therefore, I often treated Robert, who constantly hovered around me, as if he weren't there. When he tried to chat with me or show off, it went in one ear and out the other. When he sent me roses and chocolates, I threw them directly in the trash and left. My classmates said I was too heartless towards him. But I kept going, getting into a prestigious university and then securing the opportunity to study abroad. After I went overseas, Robert didn't give up. Instead, he pursued me even harder. He flew over to see me every week, and even showed up at a university event, publicly declaring "I love you" to me. That was the first time I felt something strange for Robert. Amidst the cheering crowds, I suddenly met his earnest gaze. It was as if a string in my mind snapped, and I finally glimpsed the true nature of the world of feelings. From then on, I couldn't treat him like a stranger. Unknowingly, I succumbed to his repeated efforts. Later, when he was injured in a car accident protecting me, I experienced anxiety for the first time. It was then I realized that Robert had become an indispensable person in my life. So I accepted his love and became single-minded in my devotion to him, even quitting my research job overseas and ending the long-distance relationship just because he complained, "Every time I come to see you, I have to spend half a day on a plane, and it delays my work a lot." But Robert never told me that all those years he was pursuing me, Olivia had also been in his life. Although others said she was just a substitute for me, if you truly love someone, how could there be a substitute? Perhaps Robert didn't love me, but rather loved the fact that I was aloof and indifferent to him. Once I figured this out, I stopped dwelling on it. I turned off my phone and boarded the plane, heading for the abroad I had been away from for so long. At the wedding, Robert was deeply exchanging rings with Olivia. The bodyguard's intrusion brought a momentary silence to the venue. Robert frowned, displeased. "What are you doing coming in now? Can't you see the ceremony is happening?" The bodyguard wiped his forehead and handed over the letter. "It's about Miss Jiang's. He left a farewell letter by the door and is probably gone by now. Don't worry about the wedding, hurry and go after her." In the past, Robert had been very concerned about everything concerning Sarah, which had made everyone around him accustomed to reporting even the smallest matters. Robert stood still, his gaze fixed on the envelope in the bodyguard's hand, frowning. He snapped, "Get out! This is Olivia and my wedding. Don't mention anything about Sarah." The bodyguard was stunned, apologized repeatedly, and turned to leave. Robert's gaze remained fixed, seemingly wanting to chase after me, but he controlled himself. Olivia suddenly spoke. Sister Sarah is really something, pulling a stunt like this at this moment. I know she's always disliked me, but she shouldn't interrupt our wedding like this. To think she bribed a bodyguard to deliver a letter. That's quite the effort. Right, Robert? Robert snapped back to attention and nodded almost instinctively. This Sarah, I thought she wasn't the type to do something like this. I was wrong about her. Using such a petty trick. Let's continue the ceremony. Ignore her. Saying this, he pushed the ring onto Olivia's finger and kissed her forehead. Olivia asked him, smiling brightly, Robert, will you spend the rest of your life with me? Robert instinctively wanted to say that he had only promised Olivia a wedding, a ceremony, and that it had nothing to do with a lifetime. He was supposed to spend his life with Sarah. But he changed his words before they left his mouth. I do. The entire venue erupted in warm applause, but Robert felt empty inside. He scanned the crowd, looking for a familiar figure, wondering if I was just messing with him, but he couldn't find me. After getting off the stage, he eagerly found an acquaintance and asked, Where's Sarah? Everyone shook their heads, saying they hadn't seen me. A surge of anger rose in Robert's heart. This Sarah, how can she not understand a word? I told her multiple times to be sure to come to the wedding today. Where did she run off to? If she doesn't show up soon, she can forget about getting a marriage license with me today. Just as he was about to pick up his phone to call Sarah, Olivia arrived. She took the phone from Robert's side and sighed. Robert, you're too soft-hearted and impulsive. That's why Sarah takes advantage and always keeps you at arm's length. Think about how many years you chased after her. Wouldn't you be tired of constantly being subservient for the rest of your life? Calling her now might be exactly what she wants. Let her stew for a while, and she'll learn her lesson. Robert was hesitating when he heard Olivia add, Didn't you say you'd do whatever I wanted today? Feeling guilty towards Olivia, he immediately became compliant. He allowed Olivia to lead him through the guests, showing her off and toasting everywhere. By the time the wedding was completely over, it was very late. Robert helped the drunk Olivia into the car, then called Sarah. I'm sorry, the phone number you have dialed is powered off. Then came the busy signal. His face darkened. He left a message on Sarah's voicemail. What are you doing? I was just a little late coming back after the wedding. Do you really have to give me the silent treatment like this? You're home now, right? I'm bringing Olivia back now. Stop making that miserable face, it's annoying to look at. I, Robert Miller, don't owe you anything. After saying that, he put down his phone and drove towards home. But when he arrived at the doorstep, no one came out to open the door for him. Robert put one arm around Olivia and fumbled with the key in his other hand to unlock the door. Olivia stirred on the sofa and said drunkenly, Robert, I'm hungry. I want something to eat. Robert then quickly walked to my bedroom door and started pounding on it. Sarah! Get out here! Olivia is drunk. Come take care of her. Did you hear me? She said she's hungry. Aren't you? You good at cooking? Come out and make her a bowl of soup. However, there was no movement inside the room. Robert began to feel uneasy. He leaned against the door for a moment, thinking I was sad and not responding. So he softened his tone. Sarah, stop being upset, okay? But there was still no sound from inside. Robert's heart sank. He turned the doorknob and found it opened easily. Pushing the door open, he found the room was so clean it looked like no one had been living in it. Only a box was placed on the table directly in front. Robert opened it and found it contained everything he had ever given Sarah. On top of the box was a sticky note that read, A relationship for 3 is too crowded. I'm leaving. Wishing Mr. Miller and Miss Olivia happiness and a long, prosperous marriage. The sticky note slipped from Robert's hand. He picked up his phone and called the bodyguard from earlier that day. As soon as the other end picked up, he eagerly asked, That letter you found, was it really from Sarah? Where is she now? The bodyguard replied, Mr. Miller, yes, it was real. I checked the surveillance footage. Miss Jiang left right after putting it down. The letter said she was breaking up with you and going back abroad. That's why I asked if you wanted to go after her. But since your heart is only with Miss Olivia now, you don't need to worry about." Robert couldn't help but roar, "Shut up. What the hell do you know? Go find out which flight Sarah took right now. I'm going to find her." He hastily grabbed his overcoat and was about to leave when Olivia, somewhat sobered, stumbled after him, grabbed him, and hugged him, murmuring, "Robert, let's have our wedding night tonight, okay?" Robert directly pushed her away, his voice cold. "Sarah is gone. I don't have time to play around with you right now. Get out of my way." Olivia's drunkenness instantly cleared up significantly. She stood there dumbfounded. "How could you?" But Robert had already rushed to the airport in his car. In the early morning, the plane landed, arriving on the other side of the ocean. As soon as I turned on my phone, I saw countless missed calls and text messages. Robert seemed to have realized I had truly left and was gone, and he had panicked, asking where I was and saying he was coming to find me. I initially thought about blocking him, but considering how persistent Robert used to be when pursuing me, he would probably just get a new number and text me again. So I simply set my phone to do not disturb and went to report to the university. I returned to my solitary life of doing research, quiet and lonely. The only difference was the absence of the figure who always followed me around. I was both relaxed and content. This was the life I had long dreamed of. Robert's appearance had briefly made me lose my way and forget my original aspirations, but thankfully, I was now back on the right path. However, my colleagues in the lab were always a bit cautious around me. They avoided discussing anything related to marriage, relationships, or death. One time, I couldn't help but ask, "Why are you always avoiding these topics with me?" After exchanging glances, they finally told me the truth. "Someone told us your husband passed away. We were afraid you'd be sad, so we never mentioned it in front of you." It was then I remembered the casual remark I had made. But it seemed too late to explain now. I gave a sheepish smile. "That's right. But it's okay, I'm almost over it now." As soon as I finished speaking, I heard a voice from behind me. "Sarah!" It was Robert, walking quickly towards me with a grim expression. I jumped up and awkwardly smiled at my colleagues. "I have something to do. I'll go now." I hurried away as if fleeing, but Robert followed closely behind me. My leg hadn't fully recovered, so I gave up running and just sat down to rest. Robert was a little angry. "Why are you running? Am I going to eat you? Sarah, how could you leave without a word? Do you know how long I've been looking for you? Stop being difficult. Come back with me. My mom said tomorrow is a good day. Come back and we'll get our marriage license." I said calmly, "I'm not going back with you. Giving up my ideal career once was foolish enough. I won't do it a second time. We've already broken up. This isn't up for discussion." Robert gritted his teeth. I didn't agree, but I said, "Lower your voice. Don't yell. It's embarrassing." Robert choked, staring at me in disbelief. He didn't understand why I was treating him like this, but he had treated me the same way before. I thought Robert would understand what I meant and give up. But to my surprise, he stayed put, following me even more closely than when he was pursuing me in the beginning. I sighed. Sure enough, for you, only what you can't have is the best, and once you get it, you don't cherish it, right? Robert froze. What? After realizing what I meant, his face turned ugly. Sarah, how can you think that? How have I not cherished you? Haven't I been good enough to you? Is there anything you wanted that I didn't buy for you? Is there anywhere you wanted to go that I didn't take you? I just spent a few days with Olivia, and you have to make such a fuss. I didn't answer his question. I just shrugged and said to him with a faint smile, "If that's what you think, there's nothing I can do. How about this? I agree to get back together with you." Robert looked up at me, his eyes full of hope. "But there are conditions. You won't be the only one in my life. I'll be with Mark from my lab. If you get sick, I won't visit you. If you want to go somewhere, I definitely won't go with you. If you two have a conflict, I'll only support Mark. I'll have the wedding with Mark. If I'm in a good mood, maybe I'll humor you. Robert's eyebrows furrowed. Sarah, don't go too far. You know what's too far? I laughed out loud. That's exactly what you did to me. Robert was completely opening his mouth but unable to speak. After a moment of silence, he said, I'm sorry. I really didn't realize. Because you gave me such a sense of security, I just subconsciously thought you would always be there and never leave. So I unconsciously leaned towards Olivia, always thinking it would be fine to smooth things over with her and then come back to you. Please, give me another chance. I shook my head and said with some regret, it's too late. It really is. I'm grateful you taught me what love is, but when I gave my all to love you, you completely consumed my love. Hearing this, Robert was utterly frozen. Tears suddenly streamed down his face, and he couldn't stop them. He had always known me well. He knew I was quiet and never got angry with people. Even when he was clinging to me the most, insisting on dragging me out to party all night before an exam, causing me to miss it the next day, I had never been this distant with him. Speaking with this attitude was the most definitive farewell. After a long silence, Robert reached up to wipe the tears from his face, nodded, and said, I understand. Then he abruptly turned and walked away, his back stiff, seemingly trembling and crying. Moments after he left, my phone received a text message. Sarah, wait for me. I'll prove it to you with my actions that I'll earn your forgiveness. Until I agree to break up, you are not allowed to get close to any other men. I turned and walked towards the lab, found a Mark I was relatively familiar with, and asked him directly, Mark, can you do me a favor? I took a photo of myself holding hands with Mark. In the picture, our two hands were tightly clasped. I posted it directly on social media, without blocking anyone. The next second, my phone started vibrating madly. Robert was screaming on the other end, Sarah, who is that person? How could you hook up with someone else the moment I left? Were you cheating on me when we were together? Otherwise, could you move on so fast? I replied unhurriedly, that's none of your business. Just remember this, no matter who I'm with, it won't be you. After saying that, I hung up the phone, leaving Robert to rage hysterically on the other end. Perhaps he was truly stunned by that social media post, as he was silent for a long time and didn't appear before me again. I focused on completing my research, published a paper in a top journal, and won an academic award. When the professor found out, he patted me on the shoulder, exceptionally pleased. Sarah, I knew you were a bright talent. You were born to do academic research. I was very sad but helpless when I learned you left because of marriage last time. I'm glad you're back. I didn't say anything, just smiled and nodded in agreement. At that year's graduation ceremony, I was naturally chosen as the commencement speaker. After the speech, the audience erupted in thunderous applause. When the spotlight, accompanied by the crowd's gasps, shone on a certain spot, I followed the light and saw Robert. He was walking towards me, holding roses and wearing a suit, his eyes full of deep affection. The scene seemed to slowly overlap with that of years past. That was how I had fallen in love with him. Robert publicly presented the roses to me, observing my expression, and spoke cautiously. Sarah, I'm back. He took out a jewelry box and reverently took out a diamond ring from inside. It was the one I had personally crafted for him. His voice was choked as he spoke again. I found this ring for you too. Come back to me, okay? The people in the audience who didn't know the full story started cheering, say yes to him. But I just smiled slightly and walked off the stage. Robert frantically chased after me, grabbing my hand. Look at me. This is the ring you made for me with your own hands back then. Don't you want it anymore? I simply replied, you forgot. I said no matter who I'm with, it won't be you. I even quit my job for you. If you just say the word, I'll stay overseas. Robert directly knelt down, looking up and pleading. I've also made Olivia leave and announced a complete break from her. She'll never appear before us again. Just say the word, and we can live happily ever after. I'm sure no one else will treat you as well as I do. So why don't you just give us a chance, Sarah. He pleaded, his words pouring out rapidly, afraid I would leave if he wasn't careful. I coldly pulled my hand away from him. Leave. You're blocking my way. If you harass me for another minute, I'm calling the police. With a thud, Robert fell to the ground in despair. He looked heartbroken, his eyes wide, sobbing in disbelief. I chased you for 10 years to get you. We could have had such a good life together. What happened to make things turn out like this? Only he knew best what had happened. He should be responsible for his actions. After that day, Robert seemed to become overly persistent. He still followed me around every day, just to repeatedly ask the same question. Sarah, do you really not love me anymore? What exactly happened between us? I didn't speak, just kept calling the police station. Eventually, after being taken to the police station too many times, he was taken away for psychological testing. His mother flew over and hastily took him back to the psychiatric hospital for treatment. Before she left, Mrs. Miller asked me, Robert didn't commit any major crime. Why can't you just forgive him? I didn't say anything. For some people, reasoning doesn't work. In that case, I would use actions to prove it. My forgiveness would never be given to those who had hurt me.